Torah Life Ministries come out of the world. Messiah people seek the truth.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries, and some of you might not notice about me, but I am a history buff. I love history, and I love to study history, I love to see history, I love to know history. One of the things I sometimes wish I had was a history book that included me. And no, I'm not talking about something way in the future of me seeing the past. I'm talking about right now. I love to look at history things of myself, when I was a baby growing up, when I was a little kid growing up, teenager, and so on. But I could tell you what, if I knew what I knew now then, I would have certainly reacted different. And I'm sure many of you feel that way. And we gain wisdom when we're older, or at least we learn right from wrong when we're older. And unfortunately, sometimes that's based on some of the things we do. So basically, sometimes we have to learn the hard way. Well, the Israelites were a group of people that were in slavery in Egypt. And they were freed from Egypt. But they didn't listen to our wonderful Creator's guidelines and instructions, and they had to learn the hard way that there are consequences for being disobedient to His Word. And if you follow His Word, there are blessings connected to it. Well, we are up to the book of Deuteronomy. Now, in the Scriptures, the first 5 books are known as the Torah. They're the foundation of all Scripture. For those of you that are Christian out there and said you don't have to read the Torah, you don't know what the Torah is, the first 5 books starting in Genesis, going all the way through and ending in the book of Deuteronomy. This is what Yeshua our Messiah taught from himself from this book. And we're starting in the book of Deuteronomy, and basically what it is it's a history book. It's a history book since the beginning of time of the Israeli people, the Israelites, of what they suffered from, why they suffered so long when they didn't have to, and it basically recorded their disobedience. It's a history book of their recording. So I could tell you, if you could, or ask you, if you could read a history book of your life from when you were 15, of what's going to happen in your life and what happened, you'd certainly make different decisions based on knowing the outcome to that. Well, we have the history of the Israelites, and they're not only Israelites. Anyone that proclaims Yeshua as their Messiah becomes part of Israel. So these are our descendants, and we have a history book that talks about what happened to them based on their actions. And I am telling you that's what the Bible is. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource history guide that no one has been through any circumstances that we haven't heard of or seen of. And it shows what is going to happen based on the decisions we make. And it's a book giving us the decisions to make and how to give them. Well, this book, Deuteronomy, goes into when the children got out of Egypt, how they went through the desert, and how they kept ignoring or disagreeing or disobeying, or even worse, complaining against our Creator through Moses, the messenger. And so it starts off and it talks about when Moses has taken the children out of Israel, and at Deuteronomy 1. And we're going to be reading today to Deuteronomy 1 or to Deuteronomy 3:22. But it talks about, in Deuteronomy 1:26, the rebellion against our wonderful Creator in the desert. And it starts here, it says, but you rebelled against the command of your Creator and refused to go in. And this was, they were there. They were at the Jordan. They were about to cross to go to the promised land. It didn't have to be a 40-year journey. But they refused to go in. It says it right there. Deuteronomy 1:26. They refused to go in. Why? Because they were scared. Because they were not believers. Because they were not faithful. I mean, how could you not be faithful after seeing what our Creator has done for us and has done for them? But they weren't. Why? Because there was a bad report from certain people in the tribes here saying that we can't go in, and just warning them and scaring them and everything else. The adversary is going to use everything he can to scare you from not going over into the promised land. And I'm telling you, many of us are so close. We're almost there, but we don't go in. We don't go in because we're scared. We're scared so many reasons of what other people are going to say and do. I'm telling you, have faith. Have faith. If you're we need to be set apart. So if you've been a believer a long time and you've never read all your scriptures because you're scared to see what the scriptures might say, but then you cannot say, I never read that before. Or if you're going to the average church out there that's telling you the law is done away with and you don't have to do anything because we're saved by grace. Yeah, we're saved by grace, but if we're saved, we should have every desire and passion to do the guidelines and instructions of our Creator. We're not excused from it. Just because we have the grace of Messiah is not an excuse to keep living in sin. You might never have heard of that before, but now you have. So I'm telling you, you're right outside the promised land. So go inside. Change. Now's the time to do it. But then it says, even after he did and showed them all these things, the children still rejected. They were complaining. They were very angry. So this book, the first book of Deuteronomy, is the beginning of the history book of what happened here. And it talks about the warnings. It talked about exactly where the children of Israel went, why they traveled so far, so much, and so long. And it didn't have to be that way. And we're going to see through the book of Deuteronomy, we're going to see more of this historical accounts and so on. But you could take the Torah, then you could look at the Gospels, and then you could look at Revelation. So you have the Torah of the history, you have the Gospels of the reality, and then you have the revelation of the prophecy. So this might be a history book of the children of Israel, everybody, in the desert in Deuteronomy. But we also have the warnings, the guidelines, and the instructions of Yeshua Messiah and the Gospels. And we have the prophecy and our own history book right there in Revelations of what is going to happen based on our decisions and based on everything else. I am positive if the children of Israel, when they were leaving Egypt, they would have read Deuteronomy before they left, if any way that was possible, and they saw everything it said, they would have made different decisions. They wouldn't have been complaining against Moses. They wouldn't have been bickering against our wonderful Creator and disobeying His guidelines. They would have been very obedient. Well, I'm telling you, I am sure, if you are sincere in your heart about Yeshua Messiah and you read Revelations, you are going to think second. You're going to have second thoughts about being obedient to His word. And you're going to stop using the excuse, well, we don't have to read the scriptures because we got grace. Or we don't have to be obedient to His word because we got grace. No, that's not what the scriptures say. Well, that's what my church said. Well, maybe your church is wrong. Maybe your church isn't following the scriptures correctly. Yeshua said, be a follower of the way. What way was he talking about? The way of Messiah. He taught Torah. He told us to live it out. This reading was from Parashah 44, which is Torah reading 44, Deuteronomy 1:1 to 3:22, everybody. And then we're going to continue with the first 5 books of all Scripture. On my website, healthwatchman.com, I also have a series called Yeshua Said that talks exactly about what words of Messiah actually said and spoke about. So everybody, I invite you to put your comments and questions below the video. Check out some of my other videos, my health videos and my Torah videos, or my Bible videos on healthwatchman.com. And until then, everybody, have a great week, and shalom, shalom.
Life ministries come out of the world. Messiah people seek the truth.